Hello and welcome to the Overton Audios podcast. My name's Connor Chadwick.
And I'm Daniel Patton.
And on today's podcast, I'll be discussing with Thomas Aiden James, Doctor Who, Multiversal Recovery.
And then later on, we'll be looking at the long-awaited Shimmer series in Red Matter Productions, as well as the Q&As with the cast. Anyway, how are you, Sir Chatters? I forgot we have to thank the Patreons, don't we? I'm completely sorry about that.
No, it's fine. It's like the first
one. Yeah, full permission to make myself look like an idiot in this podcast by keeping this sentence.
All right, no worries. So yes, thank you to all the Patreons, which are Anya Patton, Chelsea Lagan, and Delta Effects. And to answer your question, sir, yes, I am well. Are you well?
Bit
of a loaded question, I can imagine.
Bit of a loaded couple of months I've had, to be honest with you. I can't go into all the things right now, but I had a job that passed.
Yeah.
I've basically just been like in and out of like different things at the moment, and it's been hard to sit down. Like for the last couple of weeks, I've only had like 2 hours I can really sit down and do things at the computer.
Yeah.
So I haven't really had time to do much, so it's good that I now have time to do things, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I imagine, like, it's something when we spoke about you being able to have time again. It's both a blessing and a curse, I imagine.
Yes.
But I imagine that for now, it's more of a blessing. Because you can sort of detox, if you know what I mean, from the rush that you've had of this previous job.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
And yeah, but at the same time, I can understand obviously all of the stresses that can come with that.
Exactly. Like, I wish I could come on the podcast and say, well, I'm busy doing things with Fresh Timeline, but doing things with other projects. No, I have no updates in regards to that. It's just all been work and life, which is the most boring answer you could possibly give to why you've been absent late.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Last month's podcast wasn't necessarily down to your schedule. I mean, it was down to us like misscheduling everything because we kept forgetting when we'd organised to record. So we'd go, oh, yeah, we'll do it on the Monday. And then it wouldn't... and then I'd realise on the Tuesday or the Wednesday going, oh, God, we forgot to record. And then at that point, we were way too busy. We had too much going on that we just... It wasn't a case of, like, for example, like you're saying, the stresses of that job. It wasn't really that. It was just the fact that your schedule was so tight because of that job. So that's what I'm meaning.
Do you know how stressed and overworked I was in that job, man?
Yeah, I'm aware from what at least you've told me.
No. When we were scheduled to record the last podcast, we agreed on a date, and I was like, yes, I can do that date 100%. Do you know I forgot what that date was?
What?
That day was my birthday.
Oh.
I was so overworked and tired, and I was trying to make things work so badly. I forgot I scheduled the podcast on my birthday. I had forgotten that my birthday was last month.
Oh, sir.
I turned 28, by the way.
Yes, indeed. Yes, of course, happy belated birthday, I'm sure, from everyone listening. Unless you're listening next year, then it's a year older.
Yeah.
But that's exactly. I've been having similar stresses because, and I'll be completely open about this because I spoke to you about it quite recently. But there has been a sort of shift in the way that we're making stuff now. I think it's not a bad shift by any means. And it's not one I'm ever critical of. It's just something to be sort of mindful and aware of, which is when we started this podcast, you were at uni.
Yeah.
And what year? 2020. And it was also COVID year, but I was at a much easier point in my day-to-day life, both with regards to how I was making audios and how I was in the particular position at work I was in. Now it's completely, like, both of us are in a completely different position that we're lucky to still be able to find an hour or two to sit down to record the podcast. But even recording the segments for the podcast have proved difficult for us. Like I've known how busy you've been, and I don't say this critically, by the way. I'm just always aware that sometimes I sound like I'm being accusatory when I'm talking about things that I'm just aware of. But it's been a little while since a podcast segment was headed by yourself.
Yeah, it's just the time of it all,
It
man.
is. It is. It's just sitting down and organizing things. Like I definitely want to bring back the segment that you were running. I kind of saw it as you were running it. You were getting other creators on the podcast.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and then it is like that's the thing. There are plenty of creators that like especially. I mean, another thing that I don't think we mentioned in the last podcast actually because it hadn't happened yet is that we hit 1,000 subscribers.
Oh, that's right. We had well, Overton Audios has hit 1,000 subscribers,
Yeah.
and that will
Well,
come with
you
its
are
own.
way into 2K now, but
Yeah, and we both have. The thing is, we haven't actually said this publicly. We both say each other like challenges to do when I hit 2,000 subscribers and you hit 1,000 subscribers. And I think we're both going to try and aim to do those around the summer.
yeah, that's probably the best time to do it because I mean we are both not in a position at the moment in life to be doing said things. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, and I think your challenge requires it to be a heat wave.
it does. It
So
does.
this time of
I
year,
could tell everyone what my challenge is. I'm going to leave yours as a secret because yours isn't that doesn't revolve the number. And once you hit 1,000, that's just you got to do the challenge with
I know
it.
I've got to do it at some point, but I haven't got the time to think about the challenge, which is a bonus.
Yeah, my challenge is at some point during the summer, I'm going to have to sit down in the middle of a heat wave wearing my full Irish doctor gear. Well, or at least alternatives that I can use that doesn't ruin the costume. And
Mm.
I've got to shout out every single subscriber that has subscribed to the Fracture Time YouTube channel.
You agreed to that, I think, when you hit 1,000. I still got the original video, and that's what's
I,
but that's what's so strange about it. That's how far we've come because that video and that agreement was made under a month, like one, like, yeah, under a month. No, I'm
yeah,
not gonna. The sentence doesn't work. 3 weeks, I reckon, after the first ever podcast came out.
yeah,
And here we are on what podcast number? What is this? 50, 59? We did
yeah,
the big 50. I'm gonna have a quick little look, but I think it's around 59. I think it's 58. Oh, I was so
ah,
close.
close.
But yeah, that's the thing. It's taken a while, but we got there, and that's the thing. Now that we've got that subscriber base, which is fantastic, and of course I'm so grateful to everyone. I never really released a statement about hitting 1,000 because I won't lie, I was thinking I was expecting people to suddenly unsubscribe for some reason, and because sometimes they do that when you hit a milestone. A couple of people will unsubscribe to troll you,
Yeah.
and then you'll suddenly get back to 999, and you're like, no.
Well, you're well into 1,000 now, sir. So
Oh
you'll,
yeah, we are now, we are, but it would be good for things to calm down a little bit first before we do all of our challenges.
yeah.
Um,
I
but
look
yeah,
I look forward to the day you have 2,000 subscribers. You gotta do that challenge that I'm doing with the Irish doctor.
is that it? Are those is it a tier system?
It is a tier system, yeah. Like
So what does that
I
mean?
didn't do, but I don't do what you do. So the 1,000 subscriber one doesn't apply to
I was going
me.
to say, does that mean you have to make a film?
I think that's a bit different.
Yeah.
No one knows what your thing is. No one knows your thing is. So we'll leave it ambiguous until you eventually do it because I think whenever it comes out, I think it'll be insanely hilarious to look
It'll
back on
come out.
this.
It'll come out as probably like a 1,000 subscriber special or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so though lots of things have changed with us that regarding especially the article, obviously going back to my point about the production of it all. um I've always, you and I have all pretty much, you are the primary cover artist on these productions.
Yeah,
um and having you disappear for how long was it, a month or two?
essentially a month or two. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it feels closer to 2 months for me. I do not know how it would feel for you because you lived through it. But like I sort of like, cause, and as well as that, we've had other cover artists who've had other issues as well who haven't been able to do it. We've tried looking to other cover artists as well, new cover artists or some that have made a couple in the past, and everyone's so busy with everything and their own projects. You there's no confirmed date on these things, and obviously we do strictly weekly releases. So
Yeah.
it got to a point where I was trying to teach myself how to do it, but then of course I was now in a position with a schedule where I'm writing nearly every script at the moment. So it just got very, very messy, to a point where it all kind of fell back on me, and it felt a bit like the old days again, which was nice, especially when we were approaching 10 years. But
Mm.
what wasn't so nice was the fact that I realized how much times have changed, because I do miss those old days, where you and I were running about making stuff. We were
Yeah.
making, like, I remember like the days of when we were making The Candidate and how that was connected into Overton Audios when it was so much smaller as well. But now, obviously, through what we're doing now moving forward, it's so much collaborative. And no, that's a bad thing. It just means there are more steps. And it, I just sort of realized how difficult things are to do by yourself now, and that you do really need to lean on friends and collaborators a lot more to make something the best it can be.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I think that's always been. I think because like we get so much more ambitious as we go along. I mean, like you've seen the finale, man. For extra timeline, I
Yeah.
couldn't do that with anyone who has volunteered their time to do it.
Mm.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
times have changed completely.
Yeah, so as a result, it's one of those things of like trying to, because I've been able to schedule myself, and I've got other things to write for other people. I've got a couple of scripts to write for Dwem, a couple of scripts to write for TT Productions. Um, but then, of course, these life changes happen, and you're not always prepared for them. And then you're like, "Oh, I said yes to all of this, and now I'm screwed."
Yeah, I feel you there.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, it's just been this propelling, ongoing thing that just keeps going, doesn't it?
Oh, 100%, 100%.
Yeah,
But like,
just
nonetheless, we adapt.
exactly adapt and change. Just sort of like how you say, like the multiverse adapts and change, and sometimes you need to recover that.
You are getting too good at these.
I know I am. But speaking of recovering multiversal stuff, we have Multiversal Recovery, the latest CRAVAT Doctor volume that has been releasing on Overton Audios the last few weeks.
Indeed.
Yes, indeed. Shall we have a listen, sir?
Oh, yes, yes, indeed. Overton Audios presents.
Your dimension is damaged, Doctor.
Damaged.
There are cracks in the fabric of your reality. It's what allowed the Mentiads to arrive here in the first place, and imbalances occurring.
That's dangerous technology.
I don't have to explain anything to you.
What about me?
We have armed guards trained on us. We don't have much choice.
The system is overloaded.
Your attempts to kill humans.
It wasn't them we wanted to kill. It was you.
Seems that you've wiped your whole life in just one day. You never existed.
Then I felt lightheaded, and I was here.
Hello, Charlie.
I take it this is an old friend.
One of my oldest.
Enough!
He's trying to help.
No, that's not the way.
When desperate, a Dalek mutant can take control of a host for its own means.
Doctor?
Charlie Chalice!
Doctor Who, the Cravat Doctor Adventures. Multiversal Recovery. Coming the 1st of February 2025 at 12 p.m. And welcome back to the podcast. And I am here with Thomas Aiden James. Hello.
Hello, chatters.
How are you?
Well, I'm fine. I've had a bit of a busy day today, and to be honest, I've had a busy week. Which, as of when we're recording this, you'll know sort of part of the reason why I've had a bit of a busy week. But by the time everybody else listens to this, they might or might not know why. Depends if that gets announced. But no, it's been busy, but it's been nice. Yeah.
Yes, indeed, indeed. So, we're here to talk about Doctor Who Multiversal Recovery, which is the latest CRAVAT Doctor volume, but that you not only act in for the first time in nearly 7 years, but
Yes.
it's also an episode that you wrote 4 to 5 years ago, I want to say. There's an episode in this called Revenge of the Axons.
Yes.
And from what I've been able to find of our Facebook messages, because obviously Facebook encryption is a thing now.
Yep.
So finding these messages, I was quite surprised because most of my old messages ended up getting wiped alongside all the encryption. But no, from what I can find, the second draft, which is the draft I ended up having as a final thing to work from when producing this volume, was sent on the 14th of May, 2020.
Yes.
And I know you were asking about it over the years, whether or not that would get used. And I was always like, yes. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. And you were like, okay, I'll take your word for it. And here we are.
Yeah, because originally, when I asked to write it, that it was for a hypothetical series 5, I believe, of Resurrection. Because
it was for the next series.
Originally. What I remember was series 4 was in the production stage, and that I immediately in my mind I did think, okay, it had been released at that point, but actually it might have been a bit earlier.
No, I don't think series 4 started until the summer of 2020, roughly. I think maybe July, something like that. Definitely not May. I don't think.
No,
I'll quickly fact check this whilst we talk.
No, I was talking about the first draft.
Oh, sorry, the first draft.
That would have been a bit longer than that. Yeah.
I think the first draft was either very early 2020 or it might have been the end of 2019, for all I know.
I can double check. I think you actually messaged yourself about this, so I'll double check. Just give me a second.
Oh, no worries. But yeah, so not only is there an episode that you've written, but also there's your first acting role in the CRAVAT Doctor Adventures since since you played Father Shaw back in 2018. And I hadn't realized that until I was sorting through like who was in what and everything, and I realized, wow, he's not like he's only had 7 episodes in CRAVAT. That seems odd. And I looked and went, oh my god, he's playing because obviously you're playing a monster in this one.
Yeah,
a little bit more of a departure from Father Shaw, who is the master's son.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because like Father Shaw was like the first stuff I ever recorded for a sort of CRAVAT in that case and it's kind of just weird to sort of like think that the latest stuff I've recorded for him has been sort of a role that is a complete departure from like the character of Father Shaw, really. And it's just like it is kind of like weird, but it also is kind of
refreshing.
Yeah, I guess, and it's also different as well, really, just because it shows that I've well, I suppose like from all the other sort of voice roles I've done over the years, it does show that I do have sort of tone. I can do monster, I can do Father Shaw. I suppose I can do just anything else, really.
Oh yes, indeed. But yeah. So with Revenge of the Axons, it was actually initially based off of one of my old fan films from 2007. I want to say. Well, we filmed it in 2007, and it came out in February 2008.
Oh, goodness.
I do have the original somewhere, but the original is nothing like what you ended up doing with Revenge of the Axons. I think I told you the rough gist of it. I might have sent you the episode for all I know. I can't remember.
No, I've never watched it. Never watched it.
Oh, fair. I think I just said I wanted to adapt it, and then I can't remember what we said. No, this is the problem. It's been so long. But I do believe what happened was, because I was able to screenshot some of our messages from back then, just in case we lost them. I was simply saying that I was filming a reaction video to my first ever my first ever fan film from 2007, and that was on my monthly vlog back when I did them. And now I think it was because of the predictor, and the predictor in that is back then it was the name of the master son before Father Shaw. And what was sort of interesting about it was we ended up just talking about Revenge of the Axons, which was, again, a fan film I made in 2008. That story is completely different. Would you like to hear about it?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
So the Doctor, Patrick, and Professor Chaddy, because they are companions I had back in my classic fan films. I think they were played by my father and my sister. They are going to investigate this signal. The TARDIS has landed, and the Doctor is because of this signal. And they follow the trace for it, and they arrive at this material. And because I'm 12 years old when we made this, of course, nothing I'm actually saying makes complete sense. But I find this material that's gold, but it's black. So I call it black gold, which it basically doesn't exactly work because the color is gold. Like it's like the way it's like calling an orange a different color sometimes. That you're like, this is a red. You're like, what? But no, in this story, they find this and then they go back to the TARDIS to figure it out. And this is a 3-parter, but these were like 10 minutes each. They go back to the TARDIS, and then as they're arriving to where the TARDIS has landed, they get ambushed by the Axons. The Doctor gets knocked out and kidnapped. Meanwhile, Patrick and Professor Chaddy spend 2 weeks on this planet trying to find the Doctor. The Doctor's been kidnapped. He's not being really fed very well, and he's arguing with the Axons as to why they're doing this, because they want the TARDIS.
Yeah.
They want to take the TARDIS. And as a result, they end up finally gaining access to the TARDIS. The Doctor is dragged in, and they're using the TARDIS to try and get off the planet. But the problem is they don't know how to fly it. So the engines are about to take off, but it's more like a rocket ship takeoff. So it's counting down to when they're going to use the TARDIS. But upon using it, the planet will crack.
Yeah.
So they've got the TARDIS is taking on damage, and the Doctor, for some reason, has a sword. There's a sword in the TARDIS. And he takes a sword and stabs it into the console, and then the energy reverts onto the Axons, which destroys them. And then he goes and gets Patrick and Professor Chaddy, and they all leave.
Oh.
Part 3 of Revenge of the Axons was my first properly script to screen production. Because all the other ones were just ad-libbed with my dad and my sister, but this one I thought, no, I want to write this one, and we actually wrote a script. And then that's when I started getting my friends writing scripts for me, and then as a result, we were following the script, and that was interesting as well. But yeah, Revenge of the Axons Part 3 was where scripting came into it. I won't talk about my first ever Doctor Who script. That will never be made. It is awful. Absolutely awful. Yeah. But yeah, so that was the original story of Revenge of the Axons, and I think what you've done is an improvement. You've introduced a whole economy and world building with city or society that deals with mostly technology, and it's interesting because the Axons don't really usually deal in such things. They are, they are one big entity that takes people on and absorbs them and absorbs their energy. But that's what's interesting about the Axons here, because I got Ruben Roper to return as the Axon leader, whom he'd previously played in the 13th Doctor Adventures, where we did an Axon story.
Yeah.
Because obviously there was this whole thing about Axon or Axos. Being trapped in a time loop, but this here is how they escape the time loop. They don't quite get out of they're finally able to get out of the time loop, and they're just about to get out of there. in the 13th Doctor one anyway. But
Yeah.
with here, they're now fully established on a planet in the fallout of the Federation War. They have decided to become good, so you think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do remember sort of I don't know if you read this comic or not, but I remember sort of do you remember the 11th Doctor DWM comic, like the golden ones? It was an Axon story and that.
No, I don't.
Right, okay. It was the one where basically him and Amy were in Japan and basically they'd taken over sort of like TV and that as like a franchise where they had this like it was kind of like Poltergeist in a way, but like sort of with axons. And that's sort of where I got the technology side of it. But actually I do remember sort of the proper basis of it was I'm not, have you ever watched like a show called Sliders?
No.
No, right? Okay. There's an episode in that show where basically they have sort of a lottery money system, and basically it like if you win, you have a chance of dying in that episode. So that's also where I got sort of the monetary sort of thing from, basically. Yeah. So yeah, I do remember like I did watch Claws of Axos when sort of getting into this, but I felt like, to be honest, that wasn't sort of like this is going to be like the future of the Axons and that. It just didn't work in that way. So I felt like those two bases kind of worked better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it sort of it became more of an interesting story. However, sort of listening to sort of the original, like how it originally was played in that, I can see also some like similarities, but like the unintentional ones, because it's like listening to sort of mostly I think the ending's kind of not too similar, but like there was sort of less of kind of it was more sort of doctor based in that, instead of like Patrick based in that. Actually, the one thing I do remember is, because I know in this iteration we don't have Phoebe in it, and that.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah. Because basically I needed to set up certain things for, let's say, some of CRAVAT's final stories. I needed Professor Chaddy to have a break because I needed her to do something very specific, and then I needed Patrick to go through something as well, which was in this volume. Him by himself, he's always been so secondary to Professor Chaddy, because Professor Chaddy is the brains of the two of them. That's not to say that Patrick is thick by any means.
Oh no.
But it's just a case of that he is he's the one who's there to protect his daughter. He is traveling around in the TARDIS because he lost, like he's lost family members before. He doesn't want to lose his daughter, and that's very reasonable. I feel very beyond reasonable. But ultimately, his main aim was not to go, I'm going to go traveling. So I thought it would be very interesting in this volume, particularly, to put him into an element where he is okay traveling, and he's in at the end of the Grey Portrait, which was the Monsters and Villains release with CRAVAT, Patrick, and Professor Chaddy. This is the story. That is the story. Sorry, where Professor Chaddy realizes that she wants to go and be with her girlfriend Joan in the future, and that's where I'd want to see. That's why I want Professor Chaddy to have a taste of some form of like domestic life, a kind of a happiness,
normality.
Yeah, because she's so into her science, like the Doctor. She needs something. She needs someone, not just her father. Who, if her father, if something happened to Patrick, or you'd want to find something new.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, with Patrick, it was something about giving him a voice. Like in Revenge of the Axons, he gets into a taxi and drives it through the bank just so they can get in.
Yes, I remember writing that. That was like, I was like, oh, what can Patrick do in this? And I was like, he drives a taxi.
See,
and crashes into a
that's
bank.
another thing. That's another thing that's weird as well. When you wrote for Patrick and Professor Traddy back then, obviously we had to script edit it to remove Professor Traddy. But when you wrote for them, they hadn't even made their debut yet.
Yes, I remember that.
The draft came in May 2020, and I'm just looking at my little schedule. The first episode with them in came out in September 2020. So it was another 4 months before they made their first appearance.
Actually, you know what? I have found out when the first draft was done.
Oh yeah,
August 2019.
Ooh, oh my!
And I remember very clearly. The only stuff I got of the two characters was a clip of episode 8. So I knew.
I see.
Yeah, I knew sort of how they were going to act, but I hadn't sort of had the context of like episode 8 at that point. So it was completely sort of like, okay, how do I like? I think with that sort of redraft, I think things got better because by that point, I sort of got like a little sort of use on the characters, but like it was just really very weird, sort of like going into it where they had like basically the only thing I had was certain parts of it and that, and obviously I hadn't gone back to watch sort of the original stuff. So for me, there was a slight basis, but not too much of a basis, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So out of all of your episodes that you've written for the CRAVAT Doctor series, I'm gonna have a little look and see which one's my favorite.
Oh,
yeah.
I know my favorite.
Oh, okay. Right, let me have a look.
But I'm gonna let you choose yours first.
So I have these options to choose from. I have The Man at the End of the Street, Of Void and Time, and then Marriage and Murder, and then of course, The Revenge of the Axons.
Yes,
I know immediately which one I'm going for. But that's not to mean the other ones are anywhere subpar or anything. I've always adored The Man at the End of the Street.
Say that was my choice.
It feels so noir in both writing and in terms of like, you know, the style, the fact that it's a ghost of a man who was a soldier from the war patrolling the streets, gets bombed, and because he was whistling down the street at the time, he now whistles like the sound of he now whistles like the sound of the bomb that hit him.
Yeah.
And he can only whistle, and it's actually a nexus point as well, which, of course, we know the nexus points led into the Prism 60th in the end as well, as the High Society storyline.
Yeah.
But, it was just something that's been very... Like, I loved that story about how classical it felt. But simultaneously, I do also hold Revenge of the Axons in very high regard because... It felt like CRAVAT finally has a classic Who episode again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just felt like, you know, things were happening in the background, contextual things that allowed for some very good world building. I was just very, very chuffed with it myself. And then, of course, with you playing the Devourer Collective, you did an amazing job with that voice.
Thank you.
You were playing, for someone whose only direction was, this character you're playing is created of a million thoughts put together to create a solid entity. I think you did quite well with that direction.
Yeah, I think I did quite well with that as well. Yeah, it's just like it's something you do have to think about, but there's like once you've got an idea, you just roll with it.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Indeed.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I do have a question. Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Since originally this was going to be part of Series 5,
Yes.
what was the hypothetical Series 5 going to be?
Oh, Series 5 was going to be another 12 episodes. It was going to be just like, so we were still going to continue on with Series 4. And I probably would have, actually, to be honest, when you look at the amount of episodes we've made since, the majority of the episodes are still from Doctor Who Resurrection.
Yes.
Like, I think from CRAVAT, Doctor and the Rani through to Earthbound, that's already 7.
Yeah.
And then after Earthbound, it's Ascension, which is another 4, and that takes us to 11, which is still less than a normal series.
And then the Graded Portrait counts 12.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's technically Series 5 if you were to really look at it that way. But I class the series per years now.
Yes.
But nonetheless, technically, we're on Series 6 only by this volume, which is strange to think in terms of like, you know, I was making that amount of content per year.
Yeah.
And now that input over the last 3 years it sounds so much less.
Yeah.
But the stories have got so much longer and complicated as well. But nonetheless, you were asking about what Series 5 was going to look like. Your episode, Revenge of the Axons, was originally episode 4.
It was, yes, I remember that.
The companions were still Patrick and Professor Traddy. I believe originally the CRAVAT Doctor and the Rani wasn't actually something that was planned to be a part of Series 5 at all.
No.
It was something that we were delving into as something where it was going to be a special volume.
Yes.
That was it. It was just going to be a special volume just called The CRAVAT Doctor and the Rani, and that was it. Wasn't going to be anything more to it or anything like that. And then it ended up being like the next volume, and then at that point I knew that with the volumes it just sort of worked better. And then, but yeah, it was meant to be 12 episodes. Patrick and Professor Chaddy. I hadn't really sorted out a final villain or anything like that yet. It was still very early days, but you wrote the episode and it said Series 5, episode 4 on it. So
was the stories for like Earthbound and Ascension ever like designed for Series 5?
No, not really. With this, well, Ghosts of the South Pole, I think was, because that got written in 2019 as well.
Yeah.
So I think it might have been, but I can't remember for sure about. I don't think that I can't remember about the Lost Man. I get the feeling it might have been, because ultimately they were the next ones on the list to get made either way. I imagine they probably would have been.
And to be honest, they do sort of like, you in a way you can sort of feel like it is part of Series 5 in a way.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Dark Eyes in a way, like the first Dark Eyes box set. That feels like an Eighth Doctor sort of adventures box set if you sort of like take away some of the elements out of it.
I kind of did a bit of an Eighth Doctor with it. I have been contemplating bringing about the sidebar.
Yeah.
On covers again.
Yeah.
Because I've completely departed from that now. And it's been nearly, I don't think we've done it since, I think Resurrection Series 4 was the last one.
Yes.
And CRAVAT Doctor was the only one who was doing it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But, yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Thomas, for making yourself available to record.
No worries.
And, please go and listen to all of Doctor Who Multiversal Recovery. And, I thank you again, and I will send it back to myself and Daniel in the main studio.
Farewell.
And welcome back to the podcast. It is still myself and Sweet Daniel here.
Hello. I'm not gone yet.
Yes, indeed. And that was the talk about Multiversal Recovery, which was the latest CRAVAT Doctor volume. And as I've said in the podcast before, now we're on to the final 3 volumes of the CRAVAT Doctor before he's gone.
Damn, it's that soon now.
Yeah, 100%. It very much is. And it's kind of frightening to an extent. Nearly 10 years of work coming to an end.
I feel you there.
It feels like it's been going on for ages, but realistically, when you look at it, the amount of CRAVAT Doctor episodes that have come out since 2020 are the same amount that have come out in 2020.
I didn't think about it that way. I mean, like, remember, like 2020 was like the year for CRAVAT.
Yeah, it was like 16 audios in a year for that. There was the Transcendence 3-parter.
Yeah.
Then there was the
Series
12.
4.
There was the series 4, 12 episodes, and then there was the Christmas special.
And then you took about a year off. I think you had some cameos in Torchwood, but that was basically
Very much so, yeah. And then since then we've had the Cravat Doctor and the Rani. We've had Earthbound, Ascension, and now Multiversal Recovery, and that makes us to 15.
oh
But that means over the course of 3 years, Cravat only had 15 audios, when in 1 year he had 16.
yeah
But that's what I mean. Realistically, we've only done properly another series, like just a 5th series.
yeah
Like we've not actually done loads like it feels. I was actually doing more in the first. I did almost triple the amount of Cravat Doctor stories in the first, like in 2018 to 2020 than I have done from 2020 to 2025.
That's because like so much more characters you want to develop, and
Yeah,
like
the expansion of things, and obviously the Prism continuity as well.
Yeah.
Sorting that out, it's all had its toll. But like I have, like, it's not like, whenever we've had a year without Cravat, I've always made sure that he's appeared in some way. Like last year, Cravat didn't have a volume at all. He had another year off, and in that though, we appeared in the Doctor Who Multiversal saga, and he had cameos in Henry Woodman Into the Storybook.
we also had the Monsters Villains episode as well.
Yes, this is true. That was the only one that was actually a continuation from the Prism 60th. All the others were at different points in his timeline.
Yeah.
So the only one that we got that was a continuation was the Grey Portrait, which was certainly an interesting one.
Yeah, indeed.
Yes, but nonetheless, shall we have a look at the comments?
Yes, sir. Yes.
And last month it was quite a minimal month, but in a good way. A nice way to start the year, I suppose. Which is with Glimpses of Gallifrey 1, or Volume 1, and there was a 2-parter called A Holiday to Remember. So Daniel, are you starting off with part 1?
I am indeed, sir.
Oh, very good.
First, we'll start off with Michael Cox himself, basically just saying his sincere thanks to my fellow voice artists and to Connor and Daniel for a great production. Thank you, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have You on the Blue. I'm always excited for anything Gallifrey related, and this was no exception. Excellent. Cannot wait for part 2. And then Michael Cox just said many thanks. That is much appreciated, which it is. It is.
It's always appreciated by all.
I like this one. It's from Gladiator 65 2004. What a snooty snotty lot are some of those Time Lords. If I were Susan, I'd bring a pair of scissors.
Oh, love it.
Love it. And then Michael is saying, yes, that's certainly them. Hopefully not too irredeemable.
Oh, but that's the thing. That's what I love about what Michael Cox has captured with Glimpses of Gallifrey is the classic hierarchical Time Lords.
Yeah.
Because it's a bit of an odd one. Because obviously in the 60s, when the Time Lords were being portrayed, and any sort of like dystopian utopia, they were always portrayed under the guise of Nazis. There's a brilliant story in the key on part 5 of the Keys of Marinus, where they end up in a sort of futuristic society of humans, but in that they end up being on trial. But everyone is dressed in very tight, closed, buttoned blazers that don't reveal anything else, and it's right up to the neck, and it feels very offshoot military official, but they also have their symbol is an eye with a lightning going through it.
Oh, okay.
And you're like, okay. And then we were talking about this on the Dripping Hartnell podcast about this was 1963. It was only 18 years. Sorry, 1964. It was only 19 years after the conclusion of World War II.
Yeah, so that would have been that'd be a very deep cut reference back then.
Yeah, exactly. And classic sci-fi always dictated that in a perfect utopia, everything complies.
Yeah.
And you know, you oh yeah, in the future we'll have perfect humans, and it's like, well, what about the imperfect ones? And that's why you have things like the concept of looms, like people being loomed to be perfect and being created rather than natural born. And that's where Michael really brought in the really great elements of like Susan being a natural born Gallifreyan, and how the other loomed Gallifreyans hate her for being natural, which is kind of ironic. You know, it's usually it's the other way around, that you turn on what isn't natural, and that was something that Michael Cox really brought well to Glimpses of Gallifrey.
And
It was, sorry, I know I went off there, but like Glimpses of Gallifrey, I really love the concept of, and it's a very niche one. But nonetheless, we move on to part two. Part two comments reveal some spoilers about the cliffhanger to part one. So I tell everyone, exercise caution, please. If you don't want to know any spoilers, please do stop listening.
Yeah,
stop. No! Don't stop listening. We have chapter selection for a reason.
Yes, exactly. Just skip to the next chapter.
Exactly, sir. Exactly, and that will hopefully, you will not have to. But nonetheless, we'll continue. We have a comment here from Michael Cox, otherwise known as Dr. Riddy Vivas, saying, sincere thanks to the cast for their superb performances, to Daniel for the cover art, and naturally to Connor for literally everything else that brought this script to audio. Aww. That's to us. Yeah.
He's talking about us.
And then we have Lightweaver 1839, who says, thanks for this. Very fun to listen to. Maybe one of these days we will get a canon fill in. But until then... But anyway, I love this series. And then Michael Cox responds saying, many thanks. I like the characters to undergo a range of experiences. There's so much scope, so that there's so much scope for exploring other sides of this incarnation. And then we have a comment from Gladiator 652004, who says, and this is with a spoilery one. So again, last warning on spoilers. Pig Bear Paradise. I love the simplicity of this story, especially since I lost the plot of the BBC Doctor Who Christmas special. Nice depth on the Doctor and Susan too, and there's always a twist at the end, as they say. Thank you, everyone. And then Michael Cox responds, and many thanks to you for your kind comments, which are much appreciated. My general approach with these stories is to focus on the dynamics between the characters and then find a scenario in which I can place them. Yohan the Blue also comments, saying, quite the tale indeed. Answer one question, spawn several more, as any good story does. Many thanks for this brief look into Gallifrey. And then Michael Cox responds as well. Many thanks. Now if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them, unless of course they would involve spoilers. And those are like it's a nice short comment section this month, isn't it?
Yeah, but also there's like lots of people just really enjoying it, and I think it's just.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. And so, moving on from the comments, we're going to talk about a project, and I want to introduce it properly first, because a lot of the segments we lead into involve a podcast segment that was recorded for the podcast. However, this next segment was recorded for something else that never came to fruition. So this will be the first time that anyone's ever heard any of this. But there was a project that I'm sure we've talked about a couple of times. I might have talked about in my monthly vlog back in the day. It was a project called Shimmer that I was a producer and cinematographer on. And it was a concept created by Steve Evenden and directed by him as well. Our sweet Daniel here you did all the visual effects, didn't you?
No, I did some. I think I did templates. I think you did actually a good majority of the effects yourself as well.
Oh, did I do the teleport?
You did the teleport for the effects, yeah, because I think I did the first one. I think I showed you then how to do it, and then you were able to take over from there because there's just so many.
I'd forgotten that. I don't like watching it all back. I just assumed you did it, so I had no idea that I'd done it. Fair enough, but so this project was shot between June 2017 and February 2018. Now you might hear me say shot, as in not like recorded like an audio drama. Well, this isn't an audio drama. If you are listening to this on SoundCloud, or, well, I should say now, we haven't even mentioned the Spotify.
Oh, yeah.
Then you may not see it. But there will be audio elements to it. But this is a much more visual segment about this web series that we've made called Shimmer, Teleporter for Hire. All the final edits got finished, I think, at the beginning of 2019. And then it was set to be used as concept shorts in the end, to be pitched to multiple different television companies. It has been 6 years. The project has since been abandoned by the creator and director. So we are now able to release it onto the Red Matter Productions YouTube channel, which of course is the YouTube channel I run for all of my films. Now, Sweet Daniel, have you got anything you'd like to say about Shimmer before we go into the segment?
It's about bloody time.
Yes, indeed. It's a very fun series. It has a lot of fast cast members. Did I say fast cast members? Fun cast members who, since filming this, went on to appear in some Overton Audios productions. That being, obviously, we had Peter M. George, who I'd known prior to Overton Audios and prior to this anyway, but he's gone on to he played Mr. Wessel in CRAVAT Doctor Adventures, and also then Patrick Chaddy, who's the current companion. And then we've had Jake Kendrick, who actually, after filming Shimmer, we got involved in The Candidate.
Yes, indeed.
As I believe it was Tom.
Yeah, Tom.
Yeah, so there were a lot of things here. This is kind of the origins of how we met quite a few actors who were involved. And, of course, not like, there was one person in it who was the original person we wanted to play the Rani for us before we then went to Kate.
Yes, exactly.
There's a lot of history in this project.
There is a lot of history, yeah. And I can't wait to look back on it, because I haven't seen much of it since, I think, the original. I've seen like a couple bits of the original edits, so I'm very looking forward to look back on this, sort of like just indulging in that nostalgia of that era.
Oh, yes, 100%. So
this is back when I was like in university there.
It was like, what, 2017, 2018. I remember because we were filming Waterside at the same time.
Yeah.
So, indeed. So, I think there's nothing else to do then. Enjoy this segment about Shimmer. You're about to see the main series trailer, and then you'll see some Q&As, which should be interesting, I think.
Indeed, yeah.
Indeed.
Indulge.
Indeed.
Fuck.
Nothing here to see, just a kill like me, trying to cut some teeth, trying to figure it out.
Priestess, a rogue mystic tears through the fabric. She must be stopped. They, above all, request your presence.
My name's Anna. I'm not a priestess. No knowledge of fabrics.
Shit! The wrong one.
Do you realise how much you can make as a teleporter for hire? I'm an agent. For people like you. I want to be your agent. I'm with the third largest agency in the Union. Name's Rufus. FYI, off-book work can be arranged as well if required.
I always thought it would be cool to be able to teleport.
We should find rum.
What is your name and what is your role in Shimmer?
So, my name is Mima Rose. I play the lead actress, Anna Bloom, and she is the girl that can, finds out she can teleport by sneezing and goes on a magical journey through time and space.
So my name is Emily Leroy and I'm playing Alexandria in Shimmer.
My name's Jake Kendrick and my role in Shimmer is Adam, who's a bit of a baddie.
Yeah. It's Ryan Parker and I play Yen in Shimmer.
Tell us a little bit about what first attracted you to the project and your time spent on it.
Okay, so what first attracted me to this project was probably the homeliness of it. I liked how passionate the director was, as well as the camera guys. Everyone who took part was just so involved, and it just seemed like a really happy and uplifting sort of thing to do. And I hadn't worked on things in a while, so thought it'd be fun to try out.
So I got to know about the project from a fellow actor, and he recommended it to me. And so I read the script and I just thought it was really funny, really witty and really well written. And, you know, who doesn't want to play a superhero? So, yeah, so I was like, yeah, I'm on board. And it was just really chilled on set as well. I really liked that. Co-actress, great makeup, special effects and everything. So, yeah, it was a pleasure.
I'm a little bit of a superhero geek, a bit of a fanboy, so anything supernatural, that kind of environment, it's just, I'm in for it. Don't really care about anything else, that's it. My time on it was good, I had fun, and I think that's the best thing about a project, is you got to enjoy when you're doing it. So
the character of Yen, just a guy who's that old, there's so much depth and story to tell within that. It's quite a cool character.
What's one role you would love to play?
Okay, so one role I would love to play is this Girl Interrupted with Winona Ryder in and Angelina Jolie. I would love to play Angelina Jolie's character, Lisa, because she's crazy.
A role I would like to play, anything Angelina Jolie played, to be honest. She's my big hero. Yeah.
And oddly enough, very similar to Emily's. Said,
oh really?
Anything Angelina Jolie. Yeah.
Oh no way.
See, about 5 years ago, maybe even 8 years ago, it was Spider-Man all the way. But I'm a bit too old for the Spider-Man now, so I like to play him. I'm not sure. I like to play like a bad guy, like a really horrible bad person.
Yeah. Ace Ventura. That just looks fun.
Number one actor you'd like to work with?
I would love to work with Joaquin Phoenix. His style's just incredible, and I bet he's so much fun on set as well.
It's going to be a hard one because he's dead, but Robin Williams? Yeah, he's brilliant.
Number one actor I want to play with, or work with, Angelina Jolie again. She's just amazing, just as an actress and as a person, and she's super hot.
Matt Damon, since I was a kid, his acting's just been great, and I like the fact that he also wrote his own movie, which won awards and stuff. I think it's really good. So it'd be a nice idea to sort of work with someone who you kind of want to be like, and you know, rub off on.
What movie can you watch over and over and not get tired of?
Okay, I could probably watch Hero by Chang Yimou, whatever you want to say it. Wuxia film, pretty awesome. Flying, martial arts, nothing gets better than that.
Nice.
I could watch Pan's Labyrinth again and again and again and again, because it's just genius, and you just notice more and more little details. Yeah.
I think Dumb and Dumber. That film is just, you can just watch it and still find it funny. It doesn't matter how many times you watch it, and it's just, you can then make catchphrases out of it. It's just, that film's just line for comedy. It's great.
My Cousin Vinny. It's hilarious.
What's your favourite recently binged TV show?
I've been binging Always Sunny in Philadelphia. The dark humour in that is just too much. You can't say no to it, can you?
Okay, so I started watching Game of Thrones 4 months ago. I was resisting it, but because I hated the first episodes, but I got hooked. So.
I've recently actually been watching comedians in cars getting coffee, the Jerry Seinfeld thing. It's actually been pretty good. I mean, it's not that funny as you'd think it would be, but it is good. It's an easy watch, and I've done like all of it in this weekend. So.
Jessica Jones, the second season.
You're stranded on a desert island. You can take one thing with you. What do you take?
Right, if I was on a desert island, I would take my phone, but not for phone purposes, just for my music, so that I could have music there. And a speaker. Can I have 2 things?
Yeah, 2.
Yeah, alright, cool, yeah, those 2.
I'd take a guitar. Can't really play it, but it'll be good before like I end up sort of killing myself to learn something. Yeah.
A fully crewed yacht to get me off the island.
Okay, stranded on desert island. One thing to take with me: the gym. I know it's big, it's huge, but I'm an addict.
If you owned a bar, what would the bar be called?
If I owned a bar, my bar would be called Mimer's Gaff.
My bar would be called First In, First Served.
See, to be boring, it'd be JJ's, but I don't know. Maybe the Atheists, just so people question what is this? Like,
I don't know, as long as they sell drinks, who cares?
What is your drink of choice?
Drink of choice is beer. Every time, without fail.
cream soda. I don't know why. There's just something about cream soda that it just makes me happy when I drink it. So that'll be my drink.
Drink of choice is coffee.
A garden.
An epic feast is held in your honour. What's on the table?
Oh, fuck. Epic feast. Oh, shit. Just give me pizza. I think I'll be happy. Yeah.
An all-you-can-eat Indian. That's it.
Well, it's everything. It's epic. It's everything, isn't it?
A feast for myself, a lot of meat and a lot of pastry.
What's the best gig you've ever been to?
Best gig I've ever been to? Probably Blondie, man. She rocked that shit. And she's like 70 or some shit. Like, she's great.
Hard Rock Call in 2011, Bon Jovi.
Best gig? See, I went and saw Eminem a couple of years ago in Wembley, and that was great. But I went and saw Busted last year, and it was just 5,000 people, and it was just great. Right at the front, it was amazing.
The best gig I've ever been to, I'm being honest, I'm not going to a lot of them. So, back in the days, Tina Turner. Yeah.
What's the last full album you listened to?
I can't remember the name of the album that I last listened to, but I know that it's Erykah Badu. She's got some smooth voice. Very nice.
It was actually Eminem Revival. Yeah, that was it. I mean, not his best work, but there we go.
Queen, Sheer Heart Attack.
The last full album I listened to, I think some indie folk music, but random mix.
If you have any superpower, what would it be?
Do you know what? Ironically, if I could have any superpower, it would be to teleport. So do you know what? It's quite fitting, really.
Any superpower, I'd love to be able to fly. Yeah.
Invulnerability. I would not like to get just be able to just carry on, hit by a car, walk it off.
To have the power of every species on Earth and apply that to my own physical ability.
If you could travel to any period in history before the date you were born, where would you go and why?
I would definitely travel to the 60s when rock and roll was blooming, and then when you had all the hippie vibe. That is a bit of me, 100%.
Oh, the day after the pyramids started getting built. I love to see how that all happened.
It'll be 4 years before my birth, so that'll be July 1986 to see Queen in concert at Wembley. Yeah.
Okay, so if I could go back in time, I would go to Neolithic time, because I'd love to know how women lived back then, and I could become a goddess priestess.
What's the worst place you've ever slept?
Oh, a tennis court. A tennis court. The worst place I ever slept in was a tennis court. Yeah, I think I was like 14.
No good asking, right?
Yeah.
Under my bed. I sort of just fell asleep under there. I don't know how it happened. I just woke up there.
I don't know. Floor. Outside.
Worst place I've ever slept is on set. Cold, sharing a mattress, and heater's not working anymore. Yeah, no sleep.
What's the best place you ever slept?
Oh, king-size mattress in this hotel. Oh, yeah, in Spain. It's lovely. Yeah.
On top of my bed. No, it was a boat in Amsterdam, and it just rocked me to sleep. It was just brilliant.
The Circle Line.
Best place to sleep is my bed at home.
What swear word do you use most?
Oh, I use the word fuck a lot. Yeah, I love the word fuck. Good swear word.
Either fuck or shit. It's one of them. I don't have one that I use more than the other.
Fuck.
Swear word, fuck.
Money is no object. What do you drive?
Mate, it's not even that expensive, but if money's no object and I could buy a car, it would probably be a Volkswagen Mark 1 or 2 Polo or something. Bright yellow. Bright yellow.
Ford Mustang GT. Yeah, definitely.
Aston Martin 1964 DB5.
If I could have a car, it would be one of those mini Citroën, like a Beetle car. Like, yeah.
Favourite Nicolas Cage movie?
Let's just not even go into the Nicolas Cage realm, all right? I'm not answering this one. I quit. I'm out.
Con Air, without doubt. That was just brilliantly written, and the acting is just, can't knock it.
The Rock.
My favourite Nicolas Cage movie... It's hard. I've watched Season of the Witch yesterday. It was entertaining.
Once again, welcome back to the podcast. And myself and Daniel are here to say hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me? No, hello everyone. So now, Daniel, if it's it's as if we're heading towards the end of the podcast now.
Yes.
We're going to look at what's coming soon. Shall we have a look at what's coming soon?
Let's just have a look what's coming soon. I'm very excited. Very thrilled.
Overton Audios presents.
Why did you make me kill that man?
Miss O'Sullivan,
No, you said it was because he was going to attack me. But I don't know if it was.
People, even those like us, will always fight any control.
Yes. I'm not going to kill you, Mr. Stevenson.
I'm so sorry. He killed you.
I don't know who I'll hurt, or worse than that.
Something's going horribly wrong.
It was meant to be left out of this.
I am done with this, Phoebe. I really am. I want out of this.
Who are you?
The name's Jamie Wicks. I work for the Lortis Company.
You don't understand. How could you? And now I'm the one at the top.
We don't need to save everyone. Just the ones who will fight with us.
You're just showing your true colours there.
Jake, you're not saying you agree with him.
No, but we can't prove him right either. None of you feel remorse for killing another person.
Neither did Mr. Stevenson.
And that makes it okay for us. Supers, Volume 3, coming the 8th of March 2025 at 12 p.m. And that was the trailer for Supers Volume 3.
He gabs.
Yes, indeed. Indeed. It's long time.
I would not have known this is coming out unless I hadn't done the cover art for it.
Yes, indeed. So indeed. But yeah, so this this took a while to get moving again.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, it's been like a few years since the last volume, wasn't it?
I feel like I've let Supers down a little bit, if I'm being completely honest, because it has been nearly, I think this May will be 2 years.
Oh.
We initially set out to make a volume a year, and we made Supers Volume 1 in July 2022. And obviously, for those who aren't aware, Volumes 8, 9, and 10 we made as a continuation from the original Supers. That we uploaded some clips for, but we then decided just to remake it because we at that point have learnt so much about audios that we decided about 2 years after Supers Volume 10, the final volume, came out, we decided to go back and remake Volumes 1 to 7. So people know there's 7 volumes because we've done Volume 8. So
indeed,
it's one of those things where I was trying to do one a year, or like try and break it down that it wasn't that far over 6 months. We had Supers Volume 1 come out July 2022, then Volume 2 in May 2023. So the logical thing would have been that it would have come out early 2024. but we had a lot of issues with regards to cast members around that time, and it was just I thought it would be best just to pause it whilst we waited for people to be free again and to sort out what was going on moving forward with supers. And it got pushed back, and then eventually it just got swamped by, we started making all the other new Doctors volumes as well. So I've now put it in the schedule that we are going to be making them more frequently. There might be a little bit of a gap still after volume 3, but it shouldn't, and it shouldn't be too bad. That's
Yeah.
my official stance on it. It shouldn't be too bad. We have, and I will say this up front because obviously people know I'm making more. I have written volumes 3 and 4 back to back.
Yeah.
So that therefore we know that there is a fourth volume, and I've not done, because I think I did that. Do you remember I did that with volume 1? I wrote volume 1, then ended up writing the first episode of volume 2 shortly after.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been nice to revisit it. I re-listened to it again and got the right vibes I needed for it. And I wrote volume 3. We always knew what was going to happen. Same thing for volume 4. And yeah, it's proven to be very nice to return to something classic, you know?
Exactly. Like this is the thing that's like super just followed you for like good, like I think say like one like 2/3 of your life.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like it's a long time. I think like because you conclude it, but then like you want to go back and then obviously like fill in that gap. So I think it'll hit you hard. I think when eventually you get to volume 7, then that's it.
Yeah, well, I have now planned out the remaining 3 volumes. I now know what's going to happen in them.
Mm.
But it will be fun to do it. It's just about finding the time and also the right place in the schedule to do it as well.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun either way. And yeah, so I hope when it comes out everyone enjoys Super's Volume 3. Now, I will also mention this because we didn't mention this at the beginning of the podcast like I probably should have done. Which is that we are making the move from SoundCloud to Spotify on the 1st of March.
We are, yes. I just put up like an Instagram post as well about the move and about the Irish Doctor Rangers and I being there, but everything is now up there.
Yes, yes. So what happened with Spotify was when we had the first episode of Frontier come out, Dom put it on Spotify and then put it and made like an Overton Audio Spotify and said, "Look, you can do with this what you will." So I left it for a little while and forgot about it actually. And I came back to it in October and thought I should do something with this, but I don't know what yet. So I uploaded the first episode of the CRAVAT Doctor Adventures, which was technically with the Parallel Doctor, but nonetheless, it's. Oh, hang on, I'm getting a phone call. Blimey.
Oh no.
Oh no. That means
Towards the end.
we've got to wrap it up now.
Okay.
So no, so
Go check out the Spotify.
oh yes, yes
essentially.
indeed. But nonetheless, I have then spent the last month and a half re-uploading all 500 videos.
Oh dears.
Which of course there was an error somewhere, which we already know about.
You'll mention
And
that.
yeah, and well, I was going to.
Oh, okay.
It was where I'd accidentally uploaded Dark Universe 1, Episode 1, as Dark Universe 2, Episode 1. But
Yes.
luckily, somebody picked that up who was listening to them on Spotify. But what has been really nice is the resurgence of support for Spotify. I think Spotify changing to it was the right move.
Mm.
SoundCloud is good for it has more of a niche audience, but SoundCloud has actually been costing us about £10 a month.
Yeah, I mean this is obviously free, right?
Huh?
Is Spotify doesn't charge, does it?
No.
There you go, even better.
That's why I did the move. Obviously, I've had a couple of warnings from people like my good friend Benji Clifford, who follows a lot of what I'm listening to on Big Finish because obviously he half the time he's edited them and all that sort of stuff. But he said beware because Spotify can crack down more than SoundCloud do on copyrighted content.
Yeah.
And look, at the end of the day, I've uploaded everything for everyone to listen to immediately. If Spotify takes it down, then it does that, you know?
Yeah. But it's still available on YouTube.
It's still completely available on YouTube and you can enjoy it there.
Yeah.
I get that Spotify might be the preferred for some people, and that's why it's there. It's always been there as an option for people who don't want to watch on YouTube, because obviously YouTube Premium allows you to turn off, well, not turn off your phone, but close your screen and do that.
Yeah.
And like play things, whereas not everyone has that ability. So that's why Spotify and SoundCloud are always there as options. But £10 a month for the last 5 years, I've probably spent nearly, I mean, how much is that? That's nearly £600 on Spotify now. Which I'm going to be shutting down the Overton Audios SoundCloud at midnight on the 1st of March, and then everyone just go over to the Spotify. I'm going to change everything. This podcast is actually due out, I think, on the God, come on, hurry up. Yeah, we go the 25th. So you've got a few days.
Oh yeah.
To do that.
Well, sure. Anyway, I think that's everything, isn't it, sir?
It is. So I think there's nothing else to say than to say farewell to everyone.
All right, farewell all. Take care, and we will see you at the next month's podcast.
Indeed. Farewell, everyone.
Farewell.
Farewell. Bye-bye.